Hello, today we are going to talk about how to write a research paper. This information is going to help you do a better job of completing your assignments and making sure that you are using all of the required elements in order to produce a great paper. So we are going to take a step-by-step approach for writing research papers. This way you know what to do and in what order in order to come up with a successful product. Step 1 is to do background reading and research. Step 2 is to review assignment requirements and sample papers. Step 3 is to find up-to-date accessible resources. Step 4 is to build an outline of your paper. Step 5 is to write a rough draft. Step 6 is to seek input from experts. And step 7 is to revise the paper. Don't worry, we will go over each of these steps in depth. This may seem like a lot for a paper, but these are all important pieces and you don't want to skip one. The good thing is, the more you do this, the better you will be and the quicker you'll be able to go through the steps. So let's start with step 1. Background reading and research. It will take you about 30 minutes to complete this step, and you'll need access to the internet. So what you need to do here is once you have your topic, you need to do background reading to find out what is going on in your topic. You cannot write about something that you do not understand or you do not know very much about. So start with an internet search of your topic and spend about 30 minutes, more if it's a complicated issue, to read about current controversies, specific issues, and any history that might be relevant to what you are writing about. If there are unfamiliar words that you come across, write them down so you can look them up, because you'll need to know the vocabulary surrounding this topic in order to do a good job writing the paper. How will you know when you're done step 1? Well, imagine you have to explain the topic to your friend. How would you begin? If you can do that, you know that you are able to speak about this information and you'll be able to write about it. Step 2 is review the assignment requirements and sample papers. Again, this will take about 30 minutes. You're going to need access to your course information for this step. I want you to go directly to your assignment and carefully read all the directions. You need to know exactly what your instructor wants you to do before you start. It is really important so that you give the instructor what they want. Some of the things that you can do is determine how many references you will need, how many pages the paper has to be, if there's a presentation involved, and whether or not there are sample papers available. Sample papers are really helpful because you can see what your instructor wants from you. If there are not any sample papers posted, ask your instructor if they can provide one. Why do you need this? In order to be successful, you're going to need to know what your instructor is looking for. Step 3, find up-to-date accessible resources. This is going to take a little longer, between 1 to 2 hours. You're going to need the internet and access to some databases. So when you go to the databases, you want to look for articles that have been published recently, ideally within the last 5 to 10 years, depending on your topic. Topics such as nursing or technology should be closer to 5 years. Topics like education or history can be closer to 10 years. Before you pick your article and commit to it as one of your resources, make sure that you can read and understand the article. Many journal articles are written at a postgraduate level, meaning they are written for people who have doctorates or PhDs in their field. This means that you may not be able to understand some of the journal articles you come across. If you can't understand the article, don't use it as one of your resources. Also, make sure your article directly relates to your topic. Just because it has the name of your topic in the title doesn't mean it's going to help you with this particular research assignment. If you have any issue at all, ask for help from a reference librarian. They are wonderful resources who can assist you in finding great references. Step 4 is to build an outline of your paper. Again, this will take about 1 to 2 hours. You need your internet, your assignment guidelines, sample papers, and any references you have. What you want to do is read over all of your references. Take notes on the information you use. Make sure to include citations so that you will avoid any plagiarism issues. And then start by building an outline of what you are going to address in your paper. It's always important to start with an introduction that provides background and context for your paper, and in conclusion, that summarizes your paper at the end. And then in between, think about how are you going to place all the different parts of your paper so that the paper flows, it makes sense, and it fulfills all the requirements of the assignment. Your outline is your plan for your paper, and a good plan leads to a good paper. Step 5 is to write a rough draft. It'll take about 1 to 2 hours if you already have your outline done. Again, start your paper with an introduction. Label sections of your paper with headings to let the reader know the topic of the section. As you're writing, avoid direct quotes. The only time you should use a direct quote from a source is if the writing is so extraordinary that you have to have those exact words in your paper. If it's generic information, you should not be quoting it. Instead, you should paraphrase, which means putting in your own words, and then providing a citation. Avoid first person, I, me, we, us, and our, and second person, you and your in your writing. Instead, use third person, they, them, people, patients, students, Americans. As you write your paper, reread your sentences over and over, reread your paragraphs over and over. Make sure that what you're writing makes sense as it progresses. Step 6 is to seek input from experts. The time required here varies. You're going to want to look at the virtual writing center or the in-person writing center to meet with a tutor who can help you review your paper, review your citations and references, and your organization. If you cannot get to the writing center, then definitely ask a fellow student, parent, or your instructor to review your paper for you. You should never turn in a paper that someone else has not read, because we tend to write as we think, so it will make sense to us what we're writing, but it won't necessarily make sense to someone else. Also, if you don't have a lot of practice using citations, you want someone who's an expert in citations to help you. The final step is to revise your paper. Again, it takes about 1 to 2 hours. You'll need your paper and the notes you received from your expert. Carefully go through your paper. Find the mistakes or areas where you need to clarify. Make the changes suggested by the expert. Then you can turn your paper in and relax.